Two major wins for gun owners, long overdue. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like channel, like content, and what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything's appreciated. Connecticut residents, plan on getting your Connecticut pistol permit. Time is running out. Please get your training and your paperwork turned in before July 1st. The training addendum or the add-on with the legal scripting has been released, but there seems to be some gray areas that they're not making clear and some shenanigans going on. If you have your permit, watch the expiration date. Don't let it expire. There's a link to the online renewal portal for the state of Connecticut for permits in the description box. Keep an eye on that. Let's talk about this. And two major rulings. One concerns the arm brace rule. The other concerns the engaged in the business rule. These are both ATF rules that were just arbitrarily made up by the ATF at the behest of the Biden administration. Well, both have taken a serious hit. Thank goodness. We're going to go through both of them here. I don't think I need to make 20 videos about the same thing over and over again, but Judge Karsamak has ruled that the ATF's engaged in the business rule is unconstitutional. I would give you a little bit of information. Now, this ruling on the engaged in the business rule only applies to the plaintiffs. It does not apply to the entire country. But in a significant legal victory, a federal judge in Texas has struck down the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives' final rule on engaged in the business of firearms, dealing as reported by Copper Jacket TV in their latest video. This ruling, delivered late last night, has major implications for gun owners and advocates across the country. The ATF's final rule had essentially broadened the definition of firearms dealings to include even a single transaction or an offer to sell, which could potentially entangle law-abiding citizens in legal troubles. Now, as I stated, this only covers states of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Utah, as well as members of specific organizations such as Gun Owners of America, Gun Owners Foundation, Tennessee Firearms Association, and Virginia Citizens Defense League. That's basically the people who are affected by this ruling. The rest of us, unfortunately, have to deal with the stupidity for now. But in the ruling, Judge Karsamak highlighted several critical flaws in the ATF's rule. He pointed out that the rule's definition of engaged in the business contradicts the text of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which is how they invoked this engaged in the business rule, is because of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. This judge is saying this rule goes against the actual law, which is kind of interesting. The BSCA specifies that dealing in firearms must involve regular transactions aimed at earning a profit and excludes occasional sale or hobbyist activities. But basically they said if you expanded that to, arbitrarily expanded it, quite honestly, to say if you sell a gun to a friend and you make money from it, no. You got to go get an FFL to do it. And unfortunately, a man had to lose his life over this. Same idea. But there it is. As I said before, this only applies to the listed plaintiffs. But it is a step forward because now we have a positive ruling for the pro-gun side that now must go to the next level, which is awesome. Now, the next thing that has happened is another federal judge, Reed O'Connor, has vacated the ATF rule on pistol braces. Let's bring you into that. You remember, this has been going back and forth. Now, I've spoken about Judge Reed O'Connor before because he basically put an injunction. But once again, it only applied to the plaintiffs in the lawsuit that was filed. I believe Mock versus Garland is the lawsuit. But I'm just going right to here. In his decision, U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor ruled that the ATF's rule treating most pistol braces as accessories that turn pistols into SBRs violated the Administrative Procedure Act in a number of ways. I'm just going to briefly go over, these are his findings. For close to a decade, the ATF concluded that attaching the brace to a firearm does not alter the classification of the firearm or subject the firearm to NFA control. The ATF changed course on this position for the first time in 2023 because of Biden. when it issued the final rule reversing the agency's otherwise long-standing policy. Quote, when an agency changes course, as the ATF did here, it must be cognizant that long-standing policies may have engendered serious reliance interests that must be taken into account. And now he's quoting the cases in that matter, but it would be arbitrary and capricious to ignore such matters. But this is exactly what defendants did, the ATF, when they inexplicably and fundamentally switched their positions on stabilizing braces without providing sufficient explanations and notice. I don't need to go any further into that. So this, let me come out. So we have two positive rulings in our favor going to the next level. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't affect us much here in Connecticut because we have a law that specifies that firearms with braces on them can't even be bought and sold anymore. So we have to deal with that. But here's the thing. Think about this from this perspective, because you got to back up. I always say back up and see the forest, not just the trees. Think about this attack that's coming from the Democrats on the Supreme Court, especially Alito and Thomas. Pay attention to what's going on there. Think about it. The Democrats are letting you know firsthand that they're going to either remove the conservative Supreme Court justices and or stack the Supreme Court with more liberal justices. And why? If you listen to that language, look at how they're portraying the Supreme Court. Unethical, out of control, dangerous, rogue, on and on. The Democrats are actually holding hearings on an oversight committee to actually bring the Supreme Court into their control.
Well, today, Democrats in the House Oversight Committee held a roundtable on the ethical crisis in the Supreme Court. I should note that one of the expert legal witnesses there was my wife, Kate Shaw.
You can hear them. They're on TV every day talking about it.
Congressman, I'll start with you just about what the agenda was today to convene this. Obviously, you can't call hearings yourself as a ranking member and not the chair. But what were you trying to do today?
Well, the oversight Democrats wanted to respond to the national clamor over this crisis of legitimacy at the Supreme Court. And so we analyzed the ethics crisis. We analyzed the political crisis around confirmations that got us into this and the blockaded confirmations of people like Merrick Garland, who was nominated by President Obama to the court. And then we began to talk about what sorts of things could be done, both in the specific case of Justices Alito and Thomas, and then generally about the ethical collapse at the Supreme Court. It's the highest court in the land with the lowest ethical standards. These are the only governmental officials in the land who are not governed by a binding ethics code. There's no process by which we can hold any of them accountable.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, Justice Alito's position is laughable in this idea that he can be and that the court should be accountable to nobody, and that the only person that they should be accountable to are themselves. This kind of Scout's promise sort of setup for how we should be having ethics standards for the highest and most consequential court in the land. It is completely unacceptable.
Think about this. These cases, pro-gun cases, and lawsuits against anti-gun cases are coming up through the court system. Think what would happen if the Democrats overload the Supreme Court with a bunch of progressive liberal judges. That's what they're trying to do because they see the writings on the wall. The Supreme Court is not playing with them. They hated the fact that the Supreme Court basically, I wouldn't say dragged their feet, but are basically going to hear Trump's argument on January 6th case, whether or not he has immunity. They're mad, they're upset because they're not getting the rulings that they want. Every judge that doesn't do what the Democrats want is a rogue judge, is not competent to be in that position and is biased. But when they get the rulings that they want, it's all good. That's why you need to pay attention to everything that's going on. They say this election, you hear it all the time. This election is going to be the most pivotal in American history. I'm telling you it is. This one right here. Because if Biden wins, we are in all kinds of trouble. He is going to grant amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants, give them work permits. They're going to take jobs from Americans. That is going to happen. He kept telling these liberal mayors who were complaining left and right, hey, we need more money. He kept telling them, wait till after the election. I got you. Why? Remember, these liberal mayors in these sanctuary cities were not talking about deporting these people. They were talking about giving more money and getting work permits. Then they have no intentions of removing these people. And if Biden wins and the Democrats, let's just say they get control of both houses, they're going to stack the court in their favor to get every ruling that they want. This is a dangerous time. These people who talk about threats to democracy and gaslight you with this nonsense are the ones who are actually threats to democracy. But good news on this end, but pay attention to the other end of what's going on in the courts and this attack on the Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court, because they're not attacking the liberals. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace.